There's been a Nightmare on Elm Street, Night of the Living Dead, Night of insert anything scary, but today we're looking at the Night of the Demon. Hey Morgan.
You're in a very chipper mood today.
What can I say? This movie just brought out the chipper in me.
Understandable. I would also like to put Night of the Comet into your little Night of series.
A lot of movies with night in them, isn't there?
There was that TV show The Night of, which I believe starred Tom Hiddleston. You can have that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course this movie we are talking about today. Hello everyone, it's Morgan, that's Nolan. This is It's a Wonderful Podcast, episode 57, talking about Night of the Demon, or Curse of the Demon. I'm going to continue to call it Night of the Demon, because that's what the actual title on the movie is.
And we should mention this before, there's been several movies called Night of the Demon. If you look at the Cinemassacre episode, there's one where it's like a found footage thing with Bigfoot in the fucking wilderness.
No, we are talking about Night of the Demon 1957.
With the very fucking creepy looking monster.
Yes, exactly. With exactly that shows up twice throughout the movie. And its gloriousness when the monster does turn up. It is Monster Movie May. We have this movie left. And next week's, which I will divulge the name of. I'm sure we've probably already mentioned it plenty of times, probably. But in case anybody has forgot or hasn't listened...
It's Big Mama's house, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
Is it Norbit? Is it...
Why are those monster movies? Or are they just monstrous movies?
Monstrous movies. They're
just
quite
monstrous
bad.
Movies, yeah. No, it's not Monstrous Movie May, it is Monster Movie May. We have already covered giant insects, Nolan.
We have.
We have already covered alien pod people.
We have covered... Now we've covered satanic demons.
We are on to demons, we are on to demonic, hellish, Satan spawn.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a cheap movie, I feel, though.
And I'm not just talking about Glaswegian school kids.
Satan spawn of Glaswegian school kids there. I mean, I can see it. I can see that being a fair...
I made the mistake of going to the supermarket at 12 o'clock yesterday, where all the school kids come out for lunch.
I find that quite strange, how the school children are allowed out of the school during lunch.
Oh yeah, they pop on over to Greg's. There's student menus at the Chippies.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought it was required that students stay in the school grounds on lunch. If the kids go wandering around during the middle of the day, carnage surely will ensue in, as you said, the Chippies, or potentially in Greg's.
The Great War of the Sausage Rolls.
The Great War of the Sausage Rolls. A much better title than Night of the Demon, admittedly.
I mean,
it's the Great War of the Sausage Rolls.
How many titles have you seen where it's Night of something?
Well, you brought it up in the intro.
Yeah, a lot of night is used in horror titles. Although I could only come up with 3. Which is weird.
Yeah, but however, I do think this was a kind of wonderful movie.
It was. It's not a monster movie in the traditional sense. It's not like you look outside and there's this big monster ravaging everyone. If anything, I think it played out more like The Conjuring or The Omen or The Exorcist or something like that.
Well, that's fair. I'd like to get more of your thoughts on that, but yeah, that's why I said it was kind of a cheap movie. Because it's for Monster Movie May. Because, yes, there's a monster involved. The monster is essentially the main threat, but it's almost the threat of the monster that's the threat, rather than the actual monster.
Well, yeah.
If that makes sense.
I mean...
It's the actual weird mystery behind it, and the whole thing with the runes.
Yeah, but a lot of monster movies do that when you think about it. Like The Thing, you don't see the Thing for a lot because it's a shapeshifter. Jaws, you don't see the shark until halfway through the movie.
And that's a very fair point you make. Probably the best point that you could possibly make as to why this is actually a monster movie.
Darth Vader is only in Star Wars for 8 minutes.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, there's a whole video on
8 minutes. I know that Hannibal Lecter is only in The Silence of the Lambs for like 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. Point being, amount of dialogue and screen time does not equal good character.
It can't surely be 6 minutes. It must be more than that. Maybe 16. Now I'm losing myself in my own head, and that's never good.
The point is, you don't need to show the monster all the time to be scary. Some movies will do it, like your Godzillas or your Thems or whatever.
Yeah.
Your them. But I like movies where you don't always see what the monster looks like, or you only see it in little flashes, because I think your idea of what is scary is more frightening than what they can do in the 50s.
Yeah, I mean, even you just saying that, I do think when the monster, or the demon, let's say, when the demon does show up in this movie, I think it looks really good. I really like the design of it.
It's very... I mean, looking back on it now, it looks kind of Ray Harryhausen-esque.
It does, and I believe they asked Ray Harryhausen to do it. I don't think he did, because I believe, if I've got this right, he was working on Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
Fair enough.
At the time, which is obviously a really famous Harryhausen special effects movie. So he said, "No, I don't want to do your weird Night of the Demon movie," because I believe the choice of actually putting the physical monster in there was the studios and not the directors.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at this demon thing now, you might think it looks a little silly. Like, it looks kind of like
sure.
It looks kind of like a demon mask that you would get at Aldi during Halloween.
Sure, I mean, sure it does. Yeah, but you could say that about anything really. Look at Godzilla from '54.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a mod. Look at King Kong from '33.
But the thing that makes it work.
But yeah, that doesn't matter.
It's more what actually made this scary for me was when the monster does show up. It's the kind of the fog effects and the music and the coming closer to you. That was the frightening element.
But honestly, like I said, I really do think the actual design of the demon, because he's got these wings and this really sort of couple of little horns on his face. He's got this protruding nose and mouth and these teeth. He looks really good. I really like the design of the demon. You could say yes, okay, it looks
like what you would
silly,
it looks what you would expect the demon to look like. And I could see it inspiring like other monsters, like maybe the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers, or
sure, yeah.
It's not even a horror movie, but the design of Satan from the Pick of Destiny.
Well, I don't know what that is. What is that, Pick of Destiny?
The Tenacious D movie.
Okay.
With Dave Grohl as the demon.
Yeah, I never really got Tenacious D. Hate me as much as you want, guys. I get enough hate on this podcast feed already for the stuff I haven't seen on Morgan Hasn't Seen, and now Tenacious D, the Pick of Destiny, which makes sense because it's clearly some sort of guitar pick.
With Jack Black and his thing, but back to this
with Jack Black.
The way this movie plays out, it's like a stage play. And I think that's just a general thing of how most British horror is done.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of consigned to certain locations, and conversations are, front and center. But that is probably because it was based on a short story from the great M.R. James, who I am a huge fan of. The story is called Casting the Runes.
I'll let you go on about that. You're all about your short stories.
Look, I actually was just reading it when I was sort of halfway through reading it when you said let's get this recorded. So we're here getting it recorded. I didn't finish the story. I had never read the story before.
Well, here's a nice twist of fate. Tell me how the book is like.
Well, yeah, I know, right? This is crazy. This is a very twisty. What's happening today? Have I been taken over by a demon? Possibly.
You've been taken over by the spirit of Nolan, Dean. You're reading the book before I am.
Oh no! I didn't read the book before. I read the book after I'd seen the movie because I just thought, well, I actually only found out it was based on this M.R. James story in the opening credits when it says that. But from what I gathered from the short story, the short story is just the sort of basic outline of the whole thing. It doesn't have the American in it at all. It's nothing like that. It's more about the situation of the fact that this guy Carswell is doing these weird things with runes and demon worship and that sort of stuff, rather than being the actual plot of the movie. Like a lot of short stories are, they're about a situation and they just plant you in that situation, and by the end you figure out that well, in a lot of M.R. James stories, you by the end you figure out that situation is horrific or ghostly or demonic or whatever it is. But yeah, so that's really just what the short story is. But the movie has a little bit more into that, and I think the movie works better for that. I kind of liked the American guy.
Yeah, he was
in
good.
This.
Although I should mention this before we get into that, the creepiest thing in this for me wasn't even the demon.
Okay.
It was the guy who was making Halloween parties for kids every year.
Yeah, Mr. Carswell.
Quite a creepy guy.
A fairly creepy guy.
A nice Niall McGuinness there, who...
Yeah.
Irish actor. He has that sort of don't trust me face about him. And he's playing a guy who owns a Satanist cult.
Yeah, he is the leader of a Satanist cult, which is, exactly the kind of thing you want to be a leader of.
Well, yeah, I mean,
if you have a beard like that.
I mean, good benefits, right? I mean,
look,
work-life balance.
Look, the dude gets his followers to pay for his abbey that he lives in. So, I don't know. If you're asking me, he's got it pretty good.
I guess. So.
Not by the end.
No.
Not by the end, of course, when he gets eaten by his own demon.
Which is a thematic thing I'll get into later. But first, we should talk about the first kill when you first see this demon. Holy fuck, okay. It is the stuff of nightmares.
Go ahead, you talk about that. So,
usually when you see these movies from the 50s, they can end up looking kind of cheesy compared to today's standards, but not in this case. It's kind of a classic situation. You've got a foggy night, weird sounds, little effects, and then out of nowhere, this demon just sort of manifests and materializes and chases down this guy, and... He tries to escape in his car, but it crashes into some power lines, and of course the authorities think, it was just electrocution, which I think is kind of, it's almost Final Destination-y. You could look at this demon as like death in Final Destination. It shows up, the people see it, the audience sees it, but the way it kills, it's like it could be explained as just a freak accident.
That's fair. You are not wrong in saying that, I don't think. It is kind of like that. And I guess it is kind of this omen of death. Because, with an element of this movie being the whole sort of, certain characters have a certain amount of days they are allowed left in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of thing. It's almost like The Ring with... the 7 days thing.
You
it's almost
just gave
like
me chills
that.
there, man.
But I'm very good at doing the Samara Morgan voice.
Well, it makes sense. You guys share a name.
We do share a name, even though it is that lovely child's last name and my first name.
Guys, share this video within 7 days. Share this podcast within 7 days, or Morgan will crawl out of your TV.
I will crawl out of a well and into your television set and through your television set.
And if you're not watching television, he'll crawl out of your iPhone, he'll crawl out of your Snapchat, he'll crawl out of your Twitter feeds.
That's what the Ring would be today. It'd be crawling out of your iPhone. Or your Android. Or your Android.
I don't want to think about that. I've had enough issues with my iPhone this week.
See, Samsung, the future.
Yes, if you like,
present,
if you like
past,
your phones,
present and future.
if you like your phones blowing up in on you, yeah.
That is the Samsung Note, not the Samsung phone. We are not sponsored by Samsung on It's a Wonderful Podcast. Just clarifying that one there. But yeah, that's what the Ring would be today. It'd be Samara crawling out of your phone, not your weird box television set that's 3 feet deep.
Like, can you imagine the amount of victims she would get from retweeting the link?
Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. We need to write the retelling of. Well, it's not the Ring. Let's just make it some sort of Ring-ish thing, but with Twitter. And that you have to retweet this creepy video, or otherwise someone comes out with the phone and murders you where you stand.
Based on what happened this week, it'll be Moby that's coming out of your phone.
Or disgruntled Game of Thrones fans.
Disgruntled Game of Thrones fans, comic skaters.
Comic skaters, are they back?
Oh, they never
leave,
left.
They don't leave. I'm just thinking a demonic version of Moby coming out of your phone.
I mean, Moby already looks pretty frightening.
Well, yeah, that's harsh. Depends what you consider frightening. He's not quite as frightening as the demon from Night of the Demon.
No, but I mean, I'd say he's like, if you're ranking it, maybe he's third or fourth.
Behind the demon itself, Mr. Carswell.
And
then Moby. Or then Samara Morgan and then Moby.
Yep.
Or is Samara Morgan simply because she is a little girl slightly less scary than Moby, or is she more scary?
Probably more scary. I don't know about you, but demonic little girls freak me out.
Well, as you said before, we do share a connection. We have a name connection, therefore I am not scared of her as she comes to me in my nightmares.
No.
And no, she doesn't do that.
No, but honestly, something that kind of let me down about this movie, all the talking scenes, I was kind of zoning out. I was a little bit bored.
Again, I think that is probably because it was, it's based on an M.R. James short story, and M.R. James his writing style is very sort of conversationally.
Mm-hmm.
It is written as though it's being read to you, if that makes sense.
I get that.
It has a lot of the, brackets in it that say like, but just think for a minute, maybe this doesn't actually happen, and then it'll keep going back on to what it was saying.
Yeah, but it's weird because even in movies like this where there's a lot of talking, like the Conjuring dialogue scenes or the Omen dialogue scenes or like The Exorcist or something like that, I'm thoroughly entertained by those. With this, it was like ASMR. You watch it to try go to sleep. It probably doesn't help that I watched this at 1 a.m.
No, I don't imagine it did, but I was maybe it did act as some form of ASMR. Otherwise, I mean, I don't necessarily think it was particularly good ASMR if that's what it was going for, which is definitely not what it was going for.
No, ASMR has its good elements to it. I don't look down on anyone who. I don't get. I don't get why people hate on ASMR so much.
Because people are idiots, no.
True. It's just that I think it's good for like anxiety and stuff, isn't it?
It is. I would know. For any more of Morgan's ASMR talk, please subscribe to my new podcast, the ASMR Show with me. No, that's not an actual show. Would you like that show? I don't think I would find a co-host. I don't actually think I know anybody else that is that involved with the ASMR community and the whole thing quite as far as I am.
No, but the funny thing is, even though I wasn't entertained by it, I imagine if I saw this on stage, it would probably be more like investing. Because it might be due to, like, because it's made for film, the actors can't go quite as theatrical with it, or like really just go into how crazy it is. It comes off as a little jarring and slow when you have this big creepy monster thing that's done really well, and then you go into like snooze mode for the rest of the movie until it shows up again.
I apologise for going into ASMR mode, by the way, just there. I will start again to talk about Night of the Demon now. And I get that. That's fair. That is a fair opinion to have, of course.
The actual dialogue is good. It's the way it's being delivered that kind of threw me off.
Do you think it takes itself too seriously?
A bit, yeah.
Do you think that it would work, not necessarily work better, but do you think it would benefit more from having a little bit of that glorious old Vincent Price whimsy to it?
It would. That, and I think if you had something to connect to, like characters to connect to, like how in The Conjuring you've got the family aspect that you always connect to, or in The Omen, it's quite frightening that your son is the child of Satan. There's something you can connect to there.
I mean, The Omen is... I mean, the Omen... Look, you say that about The Omen, but The Omen benefits from having Gregory Peck.
True. Gregory Peck is a fantastic actor.
Is a little... I mean, is a little bit sort of better than Dana Andrews, who is the lead actor in this movie, who does a perfectly good job, by the way. I liked what he was doing. He's a decent enough leading man for this movie. But you bring up sort of being able to really get into the characters like you can in something like The Omen. That works because of who is playing those characters.
Yeah, like it's like when American people say, "Oh man, I didn't like watching The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It was like watching a British play." This is what that felt like.
It just felt like a British play.
Yeah, but not in an engaging way. Because I've seen a lot of great British plays, like The Woman in Black on stage is fantastic. Misery on stage is fantastic. This just felt like there was nothing really to connect to besides wanting the monster to show up.
Not even Mr. Carswell. Were you not even entertained by Mr. Carswell?
I was creeped out by Mr. Carswell. He made me feel uneasy.
Well, that's probably what he was going for,
which is
with
a fair
his weird
point.
Beard.
Mr. Carswell, fair enough, I'll give it to him. He was an entertaining part, and seeing him get killed at the end was very satisfying. But the thing with John Holden and his niece Joanna and all these people, it felt like this movie was on sleepwalk mode.
Okay, that's fair. I think I probably enjoyed it slightly more than you.
Granted,
but
that might be because I was very tired when I watched it.
Which should also be taken into account when judging Nolan's opinion of this movie. Which is, that's fair enough. Although having thought about it now, I do really think it would have benefited a lot from being a little bit more embracing of its more sillier stuff.
If Vincent Price played John Holden, I think this would be a masterpiece.
Perfect. Absolutely ideal. But yeah, I think even if it was a little bit more hammery, and it just sort of really went into the theatrics of it all, like you said. Because what Hammer does really well, or what Hammer did really well in the late 50s and early 60s mainly, was it would have these great movies that really benefited from being so grand and so huge. Even though they were cheap to make, they just looked really theatric, and everything was with a big musical tone of boah and
which I can even go back to. Remember when we were talking with Kimber about Fall of House of Usher, how she mentioned that I wish more horror was colourful and sort of inviting. I think this movie could have benefited from being in Technicolor.
You think the monster would have looked good in colour? I don't.
The monster only shows up in the nighttime section, so if you keep it in the shadows and just show maybe the glowing eyes and something like that.
Okay.
The monster stuff is the best part of this movie, but even in Technicolor, I think it would still look really good.
I'm into that. You have made sense again there by keeping the monster in the shadows, although I don't think it's quite that style of movie, to be honest with you. I don't think it necessarily is one of those where because it's not big on the whole set pieces stuff. It is a movie about the mystery and about the conversations. It's not, like I said, like a Hammer movie. It's not about this whole sort of big concept, good versus evil, let's have a standoff situation.
Even in those Hammer movies, and even old school British mysteries, like when we did Hound of the Baskervilles, they have characters that you can latch onto, and witty dialogue and good stuff that links with the theme. Now this has Dana Andrews sleepwalking.
You really didn't like him.
It's not that I didn't like him, I just didn't connect to him as much as I wanted to.
Okay, that's fair.
Trust me, I wanted to love this, but when the creepy guy who's got a Satanist cult and is hosting Halloween parties for kids is the only thing you can latch onto, that's a little weird.
Well, that's kind of exactly what I was going for, because I was preparing myself to watch this movie and going, right, Satanist cult, I am about it, let's do it. Much like people know I enjoy the witchcraft in movies. I enjoy these weird demonic cults in movies. You look at the Devil Rides Out from Hammer. That's a Hammer movie with called Christopher Lee. I think is it Charles Gray who plays the leader of the
that's your department.
Satanist cult in that. Yeah, I think Charles Gray played Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever.
Probably. There's a lot of actors who played Blofeld.
Yeah, I think it's Charles Gray. Charles Gray also was in the Rocky Horror.
Who was he in Rocky Horror? I want to know this.
Rocky Horror. He played during the time warp. He's the guy who points out what steps you should be doing.
Oh, so he's not like a main character or anything.
No, he's just in there as that. I think that's him. But yeah, that's that movie. That's not this movie.
I will say what I did like about it, despite the kind of dreary execution, I love the sort of thematic content of the monster not necessarily being a big monster, but sort of the skepticism and the fear of it was more frightening. Yeah.
It's the mystery.
It does your classic the monster doesn't exist, what are you talking about, stop wasting our time kind of thing that you get in every monster movie except Godzilla. Because with Godzilla
it's blatantly obvious ripping down the city of Tokyo.
With Godzilla it's kind of you can't really look away from it, can you?
I suppose even in them you had the people that were like, no, I'm not quite sure these are ants.
Or the shark in Jaws, no one believes it's there.
Or the shark in Jaws. Or the pod people in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. People were like, there's maybe something going on, but he's just my uncle. No, he isn't your uncle. He's a pod person.
But it's even the thing that I really like with Dr. Carswell at the end, where you would expect this guy to summon the demon and be welcomed by him, but the demon fucking goes mental at him.
Well, he says I think to his mother in this movie, he does what he does out of fear, and the people, his followers fear him. but he is the one that fears the demon. So he doesn't want... That's why he's running away from... I forget the lead's name.
John Holden.
John Holden. That's why he's running away from him. Because he's given... Obviously, there's this strip of little runes thing, which is, the symbols of the demon, really. The what are sort of followed... what the demon follows. Holden is in possession of these. He's been given them by Carswell and then told, what is it, you will die on the 28th of this month.
Classic demon monster things.
Yeah, again, it's the whole 7 days situation. This is when you will die. You have to do what you do. You have to, be the hero. You have to save the day before you die. He has a time limit. But that's why Carswell's running away from him, because he knows that Holden is after him. But he doesn't want anything to do with the demon either, because he knows that the demon's just the demon, and the demon doesn't care who you are.
No, the demon just wants you.
The demon just wants you. The demon is a demon. It doesn't have any allegiances to anyone. It just so happens that Carswell is a practitioner of black magic and all that sort of stuff, where he's able to summon such a entity.
And even when, it's chasing him down, you see the fear in his eyes, like, holy shit, what have I done?
Yeah.
And then the big fucking hand coming out at him.
Yeah,
but
he's terrifying.
The thing that kind of brought it home for me, and did make this a positive experience overall, is when he's dead and the police are like, oh, he's just been struck by the train. Obviously, we as the audience know he's not been struck by a train.
No.
But John Holden just says, it's better not to know. And that's kind of like a cautionary old wife's thing. Like, do you really want to know if demons exist? Because if you do that, you might just fucking summon one.
Yeah, that's the...
it's like Ouija boards and stuff like that.
It is. It's a great last line to leave the movie on. Yes, I think it's better not to know. Because like you said, it is like a Ouija board. As curious as it may be to, mess around with a Ouija board, look what happened in The Exorcist when Reagan decides to mess around with a Ouija board.
Yep.
Didn't end well for Reagan. Or I suppose it ended well for Reagan. Didn't go well for Reagan.
Yep. What happens when you mess with ghosts in New York? You summon gruel.
What happens in The Evil Dead when, we found the Book of the Dead. Let's read this passage. No, all the Deadites come. That's what happens. Curiosity is evil, Nolan. That's what these movies are telling you, and while I don't necessarily agree with that, because it's good to be curious...
Curiosity did kill the cat, after all, and I like cats.
Well, curiosity did kill the cat, and that is one of the weirdest and one of my favourite old phrases of all of them, to be honest, because it doesn't really make sense. Did curiosity kill the cat, or did stupidity kill the cat, Nolan? There's a difference.
Can we just not kill the cats? Because cats are nice.
That's true. Did curiosity kill the cat, or did the cat's inability to jump from one roof to the other kill the cat?
Possibly.
Maybe not the thought.
Did curiosity kill the Satanist? Yes, it did.
Welcome to It's a Wonderful Podcast's breakdown of the phrase "curiosity killed the cat." It will last another 25 minutes. No, I take issue with that statement. Curiosity didn't kill anyone. Stupidity killed people, and arrogance killed people, not curiosity.
But there's such a fine line between curiosity and arrogance.
There is, but you have to traverse that line carefully.
Which is very difficult, trust me.
Which is very difficult, but that's what it's telling you.
I was curious about tobogganing down that hill, and my arrogance thought I could handle it, and then that landed me in the fucking river.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to play with a Ouija board and you're curious of playing with a Ouija board, then if you do summon a demon, at least don't have the stupidity or arrogance to then go against the demon. At least then say, oh, fair enough, you're a demon. Okay, I'm going to side with you. Because what's it going to do, Nolan? It's going to eat you, like it did to Dr. Carswell.
Oh, God. The final scene when it does kill him is, like, I think the best part of the movie.
Look, I think it is as well. It's it's really tense. And I like the scene before it, though. The whole hypnosis.
Oh, the hypnosis is another thing where it's like, I wish this had gone full theatrical. Because you imagine a crazy hypnosis scene in this.
That was kind of the most sort of theatrical, sort of loud, dramatic scene in the whole movie, to be honest with you. And a lot of credit has to go to Brian Wilde, who played the dude who was being hypnotized. Brian Wilde, of course, people will probably recognise him most of all from being Mr. Barraclough in Porridge. If anybody has ever watched Porridge, the old British comedy show set in a prison with Ronnie Barker.
Do they have their porridge with salt?
I don't know. No, I don't think they're allowed salt. You never watched Porridge?
I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of Porridge? You need to watch Porridge. It's on all the time on regular television.
I had a difficult relationship with porridge, and it wasn't like a good, rewarding experience.
It's not about porridge. It's about prison. It's about prison, and it stars Ronnie Barker and Brian Wilde, who plays Mr. Barraclough in that show.
Maybe that's how they should have
the
stopped
dude being hypnotised.
That's how they should have stopped the demon. Just offer it a nice bowl of porridge.
The show's not about porridge.
Okay, let's get off the porridge rant before we get into that.
I just wanted to give credit to Brian Wilde.
Fair enough, because
I've never seen him in anything else.
Because I know the English and Scottish very much disagree on what makes good porridge.
It's not about... Right. Okay. Why? What makes good Scottish porridge, Nolan? Let's go into this now. Porridge,
the Scottish traditionalists would have you believe it just needs salt and salt only. I'm more a fan of putting fruit in it.
Fruit? Oh, depends what fruit.
Like blueberries or strawberries or something. Like a compote.
Strawberries?
Yeah, something sweet.
No.
I don't like putting sugar in it because that's just too sickly.
No, don't do that. I honestly can't remember the last time I ate any porridge.
When you were like 8, maybe?
Probably, yeah. Do they even call porridge in the US?
No, they call it oatmeal.
Okay, so that's the same thing. I know they call it... I know they had oatmeal. I just didn't know if it was also called porridge. What do you put in your porridge/oatmeal, listeners? I don't eat it. Nolan puts fruit in it.
I put fruit, vanilla, or honey.
Vanilla?
Natural sweetness.
Natural sweetness is the nickname of my new wrestling character. He's called Morgan Natural Sweetness Robinson. And he's naturally sweet. And he doesn't fit in well with the whole wrestling situation.
I can't imagine he would, no.
He's not aggressive enough. He's a much better manager. Because he just sweet talks all the other managers and has them do his bidding. It works really well.
What the fuck are we talking about now?
You brought out natural sweetness and I decided to improvise.
Fair enough.
And
so, hypnosis
I thought it went somewhere, but it didn't.
Hypnosis and runic parchments.
Yeah. I'm about the runes.
The runes are, once again, another element where I wish they went more theatrically with it. But it is an interesting historical element to this movie.
It is, because, they're the big thing. The earliest form of writing. It goes back to ancient days.
And even it links with the opening of the movie, which sounds kind of like the start of a documentary. Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, it opens on that shot of Stonehenge, and it's basically just like, demonic things. The old world, ancient history tells us that the people worshipped demons and wrote in runes and tried summoning the gods. It's all very weird.
I would love to go to Stonehenge on like a Nathan Drake Uncharted kind of tour and see if there's anything crazy around there.
I don't believe there is anything around Stonehenge apart from Stonehenge, but you'll get all those. There's probably a museum there. I haven't been either, but there's probably some sort of museum there that's just like, well, we believe Stonehenge to be this. Well, we believe Stonehenge to be this. Because nobody knows what it is, Nolan, so you can feel free to come up with your own wacky theory of what Stonehenge is.
It's where Excalibur is.
I like to think it was a ritual site. I like to think it's where people committed sacrifices to some sort of demonic gods.
Well, I'm not. I don't have anyone.
That's what I like to think.
I don't have anyone I want to sacrifice to the gods.
Well, no, I don't think you'd be allowed to now. That would be considered murder.
True.
You would be put in prison with Ronnie Barker.
All right, here we go.
Not with Ronnie
We
Barker.
always find
Ronnie
a way
Barker
to bring
is
it
long
back.
deceased.
It's been done.
It has. It has.
So, say this was made nowadays with like the sort of Babadook approach, where you don't see the monster very much.
Put a weird kid in
No
there?
weird kids, but like that kind of approach as to how it does the monster.
Yeah.
I think it could be pretty effective if it was like a sort of symbolism for curiosity.
I think this movie. I do believe that this movie is in not necessarily in need, but I think it would be interesting to see a direct remake. And I mean, I can keep the whole thing the exact same, remake it, rework it slightly, use those better effects that you could use, keep it practical, but they won't, because why the hell would they?
Just get Doug Jones to play the demon.
Get Doug Jones to play the demon. Obviously get Doug Jones to play the demon. And I really think it'd be work. And like we said before, treat it a bit silly.
Yeah, it has the same kind of approach that Cat People had, where you don't see the monster for a lot, but you hear these kind of sounds and it's kind of uneasy.
Very much so, but I do think Cat People works better
True.
than this one, because Cat People really does take itself seriously, but it has every right to, because it's a really just serious kind of dark movie.
Mm-hmm.
This, I think it might even be the fact that there is the physical monster in this movie that is why I think it should be made a little bit sillier, or at least know what it. But again, I suppose you can't really fault the movie for that, because if it's the production company's insistence that the actual physical monster be shown, and the director, Jacques Tourneur, who didn't want that monster in, maybe the whole thing is different if you don't have the image of this monster in. Maybe it works more in the line of Cat People, where it is very much about the threat and you don't see anything, and it just all works in that way. Maybe it is cheapened by actually showing the monster.
I guess so, yeah. But so, even despite that, it has gotten a lot of praise later on. It has a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, if you give a fuck about
Does
Rotten
it really?
Tomatoes. Well,
no one does.
Martin Scorsese placed it as one of his favorite horror films.
Love it.
Do you know who Kate Bush is?
I do know Kate Bush. Kate Bush is the singer.
Yeah, she used a sample of the film for her song Hounds of Love.
Okay. I don't think I've heard that song. She was the one who did the Wuthering Heights song, right?
I believe so, yeah.
With the kind of screechy one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's not screechy. That's a bit harsh. It's like, it's very impressively sung.
The reception of this is like, well, at least when it came out, the reviews of it kind of mentioned that the monster seemed more like a child's nightmare than an adult's one. But I kind of like that. It feels like a sort of child's nightmare, because as we can see, when you see this demon, even the adults are just reduced to like screaming children.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. I understand that thought though. It does seem like a child's nightmare. Which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, because you do get a couple of scenes with those children at Carswell's Halloween party, and they get kind of scared. And there's actually a little part of the story where, the actual M.R. James story, where it says that, Carswell put on this sort of show for the children of the village, and he kind of terrified them with what he showed them.
Once again, Carswell bringing all the creeper vibes.
Yeah, and I actually do want to mention, there's not been a mustache in sight in the whole of Monster Movie May. And there wasn't in this movie either, but there was a ridiculous beard.
True. I mean, the demon kind of has a mustache.
The demon does not have a mustache. The demon is not being put in the Hall of Fame. Now, nor is Mr. Carswell. I just wanted to bring that up. Because he does not have a mustache, no.
He does not.
He simply has a weird chin beard.
Which we're not a fan of. We're not a fan of the chin beards.
Look, I think you have to have a certain type of face to pull that off.
Yep.
I actually think that guy pulls it off.
You have to be Italian.
Or Italian. Or a hipster. An Elizabethan era British person like Sir Francis Drake or Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone like that. It's a bold choice from Carswell.
True.
But I believe he pulls it off. Well done, Carswell, for your choice of facial hair. No Hall of Fame for you. You were not listening when I told you that it had to be mustaches.
Of course. So no more entries into the Mustache Hall of Fame. I don't even know if we'll get one into the next episode.
Probably not.
No.
I don't imagine so. We have had one fairly recently, but just not in the monster movies. Monster movies don't like mustaches, Nolan. We've figured that out, I think.
Unless it's Vincent Price.
Unless it's Vincent Price, but less, not necessarily in a lot of monster movies.
True.
There's a difference between monster movies and a horror movie, or a fantasy mystery horror movie, or whatever it may be. This, I do like the fact that this was definitely the most horror of the monster movies we've done so far.
Yeah, and not only that, it was fantastical horror, which I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah. What we've done, the other, two, and if you want to count Creature from the Black Lagoon in this whole thing as well, which, it's more horror than... Invasion of the Body Snatchers, is a bit horror, but it's a sci-fi horror. With them, it is very much just a sci-fi movie.
With this, it's full-on horror.
Is full-on fantasy horror. And, I really like that. And like I said, same with Black Lagoon, it is more of a sci-fi horror, akin to Body Snatchers. But I just really like that this is kind of an all-out creepy horror with those lovely mystery vibes. And I had a lot of fun with this movie. I honestly did. It's been a movie that I've been wanting to watch for a long, long, long time, ever since I first saw an image of the demon on
That's what made me want to
of,
pick it.
Yeah, on some sort of thing somewhere, probably looking up weird old horror movies to watch, as I am one to do.
Yep. Morgan's BuzzFeed searches, everybody.
Well, not necessarily. Well, I don't think BuzzFeed would. BuzzFeed probably. If BuzzFeed was to tell you classic horror movies to watch, they would probably tell you to go and watch, Saw.
The Conjuring. Insidious.
The Conjuring. Yeah. All perfectly wonderful movies. All directed by James Wan. Yay.
Good on James Wan.
We do like James Wan. Not, however, classic horror.
No.
Like this is. Yes.
I mean, how
Night of the
how
Demon.
far do we define classic horror? Because I would consider like Nightmare on Elm Street to be up there.
This is why I very rarely, if ever, use the term, because it doesn't have a set sort of age to it. Although I do, if I was to use classic as a term, it would have to have a certain level, and I couldn't tell you what that was. It would just have to have a certain level or a certain age to it, as well as the ability to stand the test of time for something to be a classic. And I think it changes from genre to genre as well, because some genres are older and some genres are newer. Like a classic sci-fi, you could say, is Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. But a classic...
For classic sci-fi, I'd go back even further. I'd say like Metropolis.
Look, of course you would.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you would. But sci-fi ultimately is not as old as a genre as westerns is.
No.
I know a classic western. I don't think that something like Unforgiven is a classic western.
No.
It's not old enough.
Or Django Unchained.
However,
or
no, certainly not. Certainly nothing like that. I don't think. I would struggle to put any western that was made this side of 1970 as a classic western, which is weird when I would suggest that any sci-fi movie made that side of 1990 is probably a classic sci-fi.
Probably just because of the nature of sci-fi anyway, innit?
That's what I say. That's why I don't like to use the term classic, because it's so vague and it causes arguments with people. Because it's just like, why is that a classic? Why is this not a classic? This was made in 2001.
Well, you know...
It's like, yeah, so it's not old enough then.
You know what I see people call a classic that absolutely is?
What?
Shrek.
I mean, Shrek is a classic of animation. But then again, look, animation, okay, it's a pretty old genre. When you think about it, animation, it's a pretty old genre. But when were you starting to see animation really from multiple places getting pumped out a lot? Was the 90s. When you really first started to see multiple production companies making top quality animated movies. And Shrek 2001? It's old enough for that genre.
Shrek 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Shrek 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh god.
But it's old enough for that genre.
It is.
To be considered that. But all that being said, I hate using the word classic, and that is why we have just covered why I do not like to use that word, because it confuses myself. It confuses me in myself.
Well, we should get on to final thoughts before I start imagining Donkey as the voice of Hal.
We should. Go ahead.
Final thoughts. I would say this is a very well-structured movie. Thematically, it's very interesting. If you're like me and you watch it when you're tired, you're probably going to be bored. You have to be prepared for this.
I actually think it's a really beautifully shot movie as well.
Oh, definitely. Cinematography-wise, is incredible.
I mean, I, of course, always adore good, dark, brooding black and white. And it has that. For sure it has that. It fits in with the whole mystery, noir, well, not noir-y, but kind of darky, dark mystery sort of thing. I'm mixing up my words today, Nolan, and I don't care.
But yeah, I would recommend this. If anything, see it for the monster design alone. And if you're into satanic stuff, like I know some of our friends are,
I am.
You'll probably enjoy it more than I did.
I'm into that kind of stuff when it comes to movies.
I'd be curious to rewatch
TV.
this though when I'm not fresh off of writing a bunch of reports.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's fair. You should go and give it a rewatch when you can. And I do think people should watch it. Those who are horror fans who haven't seen it. Those who are monster fans, like Nolan said. Those who like the sort of demonic, witchy satanic stuff in films and TV, you find that really interesting, go and watch Night of the Demon, or you might find it under Curse of the Demon, but that is not the name that the movie uses. I don't know why it's got both names, Nolan, do you?
US.
US.
Why? It's a Harry Potter Philosopher's Sorcerer's Stone type thing.
Idiots.
I think it's because Night of the Demon was a... Actually, no, Night of the Demon, the shitty one, came out in the 70s, so I don't know why.
No, nobody knows why. I really don't like it when when movies change the names of themselves for different countries. The most annoying one is the Avengers, right?
Yeah, it's called Avengers Assemble here because there was an Avengers TV show with Sean Connery or some shit.
Yeah, in like the 60s, in Britain, there was a TV show called The Avengers. We understand that when you say The Avengers, you don't mean that. We understand that you mean Captain America and Iron Man.
That's why I'm lucky that I got my Avengers Blu-ray in Dubai where it was called The Avengers.
Yeah, you are. It frustrates me when people in this country refer it to as Avengers Assemble. Is that the title it was given when it was being made? No. So call it the title it was given when it was being made. Night of the Demon, The Avengers, and goddamn Zootopia is what it's called.
And Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
And Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Shut up saying Sorcerer's Stone. Shut up saying Zootropolis, which for some reason it's called. Don't ask me why it's called that, as though we can't understand the word Zootopia, as though British people don't know what the word utopia is. What? I don't get it. Don't call it Curse of the Demon, although I can let that one slide because it's a bit older and, whatever. And absolutely do not call it Avengers Assemble.
I'll just blame UKIP for it.
Blame Britain. Apart from when it comes to Harry Potter.
Yeah.
In that sense, blame the US.
So, I think that'll wrap us up. There has been some news this week, my friend.
There has, and coming off my rant about the names, which I very rarely do. I don't like to rant, Nolan, but I feel like I've been in a ranty mood today.
I'll add another one that was a crazy one. I think in some countries, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was called Amazing Spider-Man 2 Rise of Electro.
No.
Which is so fucking cheesy.
Why? That doesn't even make any sense why they would change that. That's just adding stuff. Oh, I've given up. I don't like to be in a ranty mood, Nolan.
Well,
please take me out of the ranty
mood.
Give me some good news.
Some good news? Well, I actually don't know how you feel on this. I know we've talked about it before, but I've forgotten what your thoughts were on it. It looks like Robert Pattinson is going to be Batman.
I'm into it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I'm into
vampires turn into bats, so it makes sense.
Yeah, don't start that again. This might be why I'm in a ranty mood, because I'm sick of people at the minute. I'm generally sick of internet human beings at the minute with the whole Game of Thrones stuff. And look, I liked it all. Don't hate me. I just did.
You know what?
It's gotten
so annoying for me with the Game of Thrones stuff that I can't even be bothered to watch it now. I know what happens thanks to fucking Twitter.
That's such a shame. That is such a huge shame. It is a world, it is a book series, it is a television show that I will love until the day I die.
I might just wait for the books as well.
And no one can take that away from me. I'm not going to get into any more of that, but just be respectful to each other.
Yeah,
is all I would say about that.
Because at least from what I've seen, the reaction to Robert Pattinson as Batman has been quite positive. It's only a few fucking idiots making petitions and people sharing them that are making it seem like it's not. Guess what, guys? Yeah. Twilight was over fucking 10 years ago.
And also, Robert Pattinson has a legit career.
And plus,
he is in a bunch of stuff.
And I swear to God, if you keep referring to him as Edward Cullen, I will snap. He is fucking Cedric Diggory.
I mean, he is Cedric Diggory. We can't forget that he is Cedric Diggory. See, Nolan, you're in a ranty mood as well, and people are just getting on our nerves this week.
Yeah, and I'm very down for Pattinson being Batman. He's got that kind of introverty weirdness that I associate with the character.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Michael Keaton has.
Batman is a damaged human being. Bruce Wayne is a damaged human being, and Pattinson can pull that off. I also like the... you know that new Robert Eggers movie, The Lighthouse?
Oh, he's apparently getting great reviews for that.
That is exactly what I was going to say. I love that he's in that because Robert Eggers, of course, did The Witch, and The Witch, funnily enough, we've been talking about witchiness and demonic stuff all day. I'm a big fan of that movie, as everybody probably knows.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like how he's getting a lot of praise for that director's next movie, and I am looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm all for Pattinson. I'm sure he'll do pretty well.
Yep, and this is rumored right now, but I'd also be kind of curious if it happens. Vanessa Hudgens might be Catwoman.
Okay, I mean, look,
I haven't seen her in anything since High School Musical.
Look,
so.
Neither have I. Zac Efron's made a legit career though.
Yep.
So why can't Vanessa Hudgens? Sure, go for it. I'm a big Catwoman fan, so she's gonna really have to pull that off for me. But same with Pattinson, I'm sure. I'll give everyone credit.
And
nobody sets out to do anything badly.
And I will say that Nicholas Hoult is also in the running for Batman. I don't see that at all. I see him more as Superman.
There's been a I mean, he's been, Beast in the X-Men for the last 9 years.
I look at him and I still see the kid from Skins.
Or the kid from the movie About a Boy with Hugh Grant.
Mm-hmm.
He is in that.
But he's got that farm boy look about him. I could see him as Superman.
No, I can't really see him as Superman. He's not handsome enough to be Superman.
Well,
when you look at Superman, when you look at Henry Cavill, he's outstandingly handsome. And when you look at Christopher Reeve, he's outstandingly handsome.
I mean, do you remember the amount of straight guys that got wet as soon as Henry Cavill reloaded his arms in that Mission Impossible trailer?
Yes, I do. People love Henry Cavill, Nolan. And as much as Nicholas Hoult is really good, I like Nicholas Hoult, not a Superman or a Batman for me.
Maybe he could be like the Riddler or something.
Look, I wouldn't mind seeing him in the movie as maybe a Riddler. I think you could play Riddler quite nicely because he looks good in a pair of glasses.
True.
Nicholas Hoult does, and the Riddler does tend to wear glasses.
And also give Matt Reeves a chance because he's a fucking good director.
Yeah, just enjoy yourself, guys. Speaking of DC as well, I also saw a picture of the new Swamp Thing.
It looks awesome.
And it looks so very good. It looks like it's been drawn. It's perfect. And I'm not even the biggest Swamp Thing fan or anything like that. I'm sure we've talked about this before, but I am into that look a lot.
I am as well. And I should bring this up. Stranger Things is now bringing back New Coke.
I don't understand what any of that is. To be honest with you.
New Coke was a recipe of Coca-Cola that was discontinued in the 80s, and it's coming back because of Stranger Things.
Great. Okay.
For Coke drinkers, well done.
Yeah. I have never had a drink of any form of cola product in my entire life, and Stranger Things isn't going to change that. So, sorry.
So, are we going to be calling him R. Bats or Robert Pattinson?
R. Bats. Definitely R. Bats, because it's like saying he's ours. He is our Bats.
Mm-hmm.
He is our Bats. I'm definitely calling him that. What do you have? You have Batfleck, you have Christian Bale,
to be honest,
and you have Keybats.
I'm hoping that
Michael Keybats.
I'm hoping that his Batman is more on the introverty, creepy side than the Playboy side. I don't like Playboy Bruce Wayne.
Oh, Bruce Wayne is a playboy.
I know, but I just don't like seeing that be the key feature. I prefer more the sort of quiet, introvert-y guy that Michael Keaton was.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair point. I do think that probably, Christian Bale was very much playboy Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
I don't think we didn't see enough of Affleck as Bruce Wayne to determine what type of Bruce Wayne he even was.
Bored Bruce Wayne?
Bored Bruce Wayne. Oh, I feel so sorry for him.
I'm too old for this shit, Bruce Wayne.
I mean, it is kind of what he was. It was a kind of, and it kind of worked. Ben Affleck was very much okay, let's just get this done again, Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
Right? Which worked, honestly, in his role in both Batman vs Superman and in Justice League. I actually think it worked.
Yep.
But not a lot of other people maybe didn't. But Pattinson.
It's weird how the people who didn't like Ben Affleck are now annoyed that this is ruining continuity. Literally, DC does not give a fuck about continuity anymore.
No, we moved past that. We've moved past that now. People are idiots, Nolan, like I said before.
Yep. I mean,
people will continue to be idiots for the remainder of time.
Wonder Woman 1984 is still my most anticipated comic book movie that's coming out, but
is that this year?
No, that's next year. But I'm very excited for that.
Next year? Do we have to wait another year for? I don't want to wait another year.
You'll probably get a trailer at Comic-Con this year.
There's no DC movies coming out this year, is there?
Joker.
I forgot about Joker. How did I forget about Joker?
And you can just rewatch Aquaman and Shazam.
It's because there was... Oh, yeah, Shazam came out. See, I'm all over the place, Nolan. People are annoying me. I don't know where I am, what day it is, what year it is, how old I am, or what my name is.
It's 2019. You're 22, I think. And
yeah. Well done.
And Robert Pattinson is Batman.
And Robert Pattinson is pretty much Batman. Is he confirmed yet? Maybe. I don't know.
I think it's definitely happening. I can't see any of the other actors on the short list as it. I don't see Aaron Taylor-Johnson doing it.
Oh, Jesus, no.
No. I mean, he was already Kick-Ass and Quicksilver. Just leave him alone.
Remember when he was Quicksilver and he lasted all of 3 seconds? That was fun because Evan Peters was just much more loved as Quicksilver. That was funny, Nolan. I laughed at that.
You know what the first thing I saw Aaron Taylor-Johnson in was?
Godzilla?
No, it was a BBC cartoon not a cartoon, a mini-series from when he was a kid that also features one of the kids from Game of Thrones. It was called Feather Boy.
Who from Game of Thrones is in this?
The one who was also one of the First Order officers in Star Wars Force Awakens. He's got a kind of baby face.
Thomas Brodie Sangster.
That's the one. Him and Aaron Taylor-Johnson were in a little BBC thing together when they were kids. Aaron Taylor-Johnson was the bully.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's weird. I love sort of going back to... it's really fun to sort of look at Game of Thrones actors' early work.
Yep.
And stuff like that. Because it was such a well-cast show at the beginning, full of people you didn't really know the names of, but maybe had seen somewhere.
And now they've all become are they sort of A-listers now?
Yeah, of course they are. Sophie Turner, killing it.
I guess, but if you went on the street and asked someone who Maisie Williams or Sophie Turner was, they might take a while. But if you mentioned Arya, then you would get it.
By this point, I think they know who they were. But
I hope they have great careers ahead of them.
I have every faith in all of them, but I do like to do that. It is kind of fun to see. The likes of maybe Liam Cunningham, Davos younger. It's weird, but it's fun.
And I did see 2 movies yesterday.
Well, let's finish on this because you tend to go to the movies a hell of a lot more than I do.
I went and saw Rocketman.
Let's finish on this. Elton John,
which Taron Egerton fucking killed it.
Well, that's good.
Like I would say this is his best performance.
Okay.
He's got this great degree of emotional vulnerability, starman power, and like I could see this being the role that like defines his career.
I like that.
And
He's really, really this sort of... I mean, he was already a star, but is this like a massive breakout?
definitely. So Rocket Man does everything I wish Bohemian Rhapsody did.
Yeah.
But also I can't believe I did this, but I was watching Collider Live.
Oh, hello.
And
Have you turned into me
and
Janine and everybody else?
Yep, and Mina Massoud was on there, the star of Aladdin, and what he said kind of convinced me to go check it out.
Yeah.
It's not a total train wreck. He's very good in it, but yeah, it was okay. It was fun.
I've been hearing surprisingly very good things about Aladdin.
It's okay.
And I'm not sure what the hell to think.
It is okay. I still do not like sexy Jafar, but
okay.
It's all right.
I mean, I was never really gonna go and see it anyway. I don't care.
This is if it's on TV and you have nothing better to do, might as well just leave it on for a bit.
Okay, but certainly Rocket Man is the better option.
Rocket Man, if you want to go see a movie this week, go see that.
Are you a fan of Elton John's music? No,
I wasn't actually before I saw this movie. It's not that I didn't like him; it's just I never really listened to Elton John when I was a kid. But this made me like, I want to go get all of his fucking music now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think everybody's familiar enough with certain songs from Elton John.
I was humming Tiny Dancer all the way back.
Yeah, it's fair enough. But yeah, I can imagine Elton John's probably really happy about all this because he knows his music and his albums are probably going to get all these resales, and it's going to do him great. It looks like it's going to do Taron Egerton great, and I'm glad to hear it's a good movie.
Something I really appreciated is, unlike Bohemian Rhapsody, they didn't treat his sexuality like something that held him back.
Oh, good.
Because
what
Elton John was like, all about the big costumes and the showmanship and everything.
Yes. Have you seen his videos? Have you seen his music videos?
He's a very energetic performer.
He is. And he still is. He still is now.
Yeah, he's doing a farewell tour. I might actually try to get tickets to go see him.
Well, there you go. That is you know what, Nolan? That is exactly what Elton John wanted from people watching this movie.
Probably.
That is good marketing from the perspective of Mr. Reginald Dwight.
But they don't pay to see Reg Dwight. They pay to see Elton John.
They do. Is that a direct quote?
Yep, that's from the movie.
There you go. Let's leave it at that. Guys, what a slightly unusual, but nonetheless gloriously fun as ever episode of It's a Wonderful Podcast, where I got angry at other people, which I don't like to do. The internet has been annoying us this week, Nolan, and I think it's fair to have a little bit of a rant every now and again when it just gets a little too much.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you for listening, guys. This has been episode 57 of It's a Wonderful Podcast, talking Night of the Demon from 1957. Go and watch that movie, and like Nolan said, probably go and watch Rocket Man as well.
I'm surprised at how much I liked it.
Go and watch that this week. But definitely go and watch Night of the Demon, especially if you are a big horror fan or a big witch movie fan, witchy stuff, demonic stuff fan. Just go and watch it. You can find this show on the It's a Wonderful Podcast feed, as well as Morgan Hasn't Seen with myself and Janine Bryce, where we talk about movies that I haven't seen that she forces me to watch, apart from this past week, which was our episode talking about John Wick 3, which was a wonderful movie as well.
And we have John Wick 4 coming in 2 years.
We do. That is news as well. John Wick 4, I believe, May 2021.
Which is good, because I was hoping the ending of John Wick 3 wasn't what they finished the series on.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
That is fair. But no, I will certainly look forward to any further John Wick movies. So yeah, go on and listen to the other show on this feed. Listen to the more episodes of this show, the main show. It's a wonderful podcast. There's 57 of them, Nolan.
Ugh.
It's crazy. We'll be hitting 60 soon. We'll be hitting 75 soon. And before we know it, we'll be at 3 digits, Nolan. We'll be at 3 digits. We will be pensioners, but we will be at 3 digits before we know it, Nolan. What the hell will we do then? That's ages off. We don't have to think about that. I'm only bringing that up to be a bit dramatic because you know I like to finish on a dramatic inflection of voice.
Yep.
And it's just the way
on our 100th episode, maybe we review Shrek.
Quite possibly indeed. But you can find the show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Castbox, various other places where you can find podcasts, your chosen podcast provider. But go on over to Apple and leave those 5-star rate and reviews. It really helps the whole feed, both shows. It really helps. And it gets us up there on the little algorithm rankings. And it's all about algorithms, Nolan. Don't know if you were aware of that fact.
I hate algorithms.
That was a horrible sigh right into the microphone. And I apologise for anybody listening with headphones on. But yes, guys, go on over and do that, and you can find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on Twitter at the Purple Don with a 3 instead of the E in the, because 3 is the magic number, or on Instagram at the Purple Don. Talk to us on Twitter about this movie, other movies in Monster Movie May, and what you want to see coming up. I do think we are going to do a Doris Day movie in commemoration of her recent passing.
Definitely.
After the monster movies have finished. What that movie will be, you will have to wait and see. But I know what movie we're doing next week, Nolan, and it's going to be The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
The one that
the best title.
Godzilla.
It does predate Godzilla, and it is the best title of any movie since Them. I love the names of monster movies, Nolan. I absolutely love them. Where can everybody find you? What are you getting up to?
Yeah, you can find me at NolanDean27 on Twitter. You can find me at NolanDean on my YouTube channel. And I will be doing another interview with another author. Remember I did one with AJ White a month ago?
Yes.
I'm bringing on my friend Farida, who's got a book coming out next year. And
wonderful.
That's going to be a really fun interview. I'm actually doing that about an hour after we finish recording this. And I'm in my kitchen making French onion soup, trying to get my deadlines done, and trying not to go into a mental breakdown.
I'm sure you won't. You can pull through. We are all backing you, because we want to see more episodes of It's a Wonderful Podcast, and if you die from deadlines, that can't happen.
I mean, there's a reason they're called deadlines.
There is a reason they're called deadlines. The demon from Night of the Demon comes down and eats you up if you don't.
That'd be a great excuse. The demon ate my homework.
Why did you not hand in your assignment, Nolan? The demon from Night of the Demon ate me and my assignment. That is a fair excuse.
It is.
I will grant you 1 week extra. Thank you, Professor. And that's how the conversation goes.
Perfect.
That's how the conversation goes, Nolan. But until next week, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, best title ever, episode 58 next week. Nolan, see us out.
You know, when it comes to demons, and when it comes to annoying people on the internet, it's better just not to know. Bye, guys.
Bye.